Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be talking about the forward options in FPL for the 1920 season. The common trend at the moment seems to be that the premium options aren't getting much as they're looking as some of the more budget friendly options due to the majority of the value going into defence and midfield. So today I'm going to be going through not only the premium options but also the budget options, and also options outside the main options you focus on for premium assets and budget options as well. Looking at 4 players per category, for 4 for premium, 4 for sort of differential premium, and I set premium as 8 million plus, and then also definites for budget assets and differential budget assets. So I'm going to take you through this. So first we come to the main premium assets, and I've picked out 4, one of them being Sergio Aguero, who I think is probably the pick of the bunch. Harry Kane as well, who, if the August curse is avoided, could be very good. Aubameyang, 11 million as well, same as Kane. And Callum Wilson, who's the cheapest of the premiums at 8 million. Now, we come to look at the stats, and it's interestingly, Aubameyang got the most points last year out of these guys, with 205 with 22 goals. So he did get a lot of goals, but I think my only worry for him is the lack of creativity in the Arsenal midfield, and that's certainly something to monitor. See if they bring in someone like Wilfried Zaha maybe, but I'm not sure at the moment. Callum Wilson is the most complete forward, alongside Aguero as well, but he got 12 assists, which was the most for a forward. And he represents great value. Obviously, got a price increase this year, but I think if you look at the starting fixtures, I mean, playing 2 of the promoted teams in the first 4, City at home, of course, difficult, but you never know. But I think if you were to look at these 4, pick of the bunch would be Aguero if you're not going with Sterling in midfield, but also Callum Wilson represents brilliant value, and I think the common trend is to go with 2 forwards at the moment, either 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. So I would say, depending on your budget, Wilson could fit the mould nicely. I think avoid Aubameyang for the start. Fairly difficult after the first 2. And Kane, again, it's very off and on for fixtures. So I think just wait and see with Tottenham how they're going to do. So now I've picked out some other premium options that not necessarily will get a look in because of the other options that are more popular. So we have Marcus Rashford, 8.5 million. United, hard to predict at the moment. They've got quite a nice start to the season apart from the Chelsea game for the first game week. But if Lukaku goes, Rashford could definitely become the number 1 striker for United. And when Solskjaer came in, he was a completely different player under him, with a new attacking lease. So I think definitely want to monitor pre-season. Lacazette, 9.5. Again, the more consistent of the 2 Arsenal forwards, and was quite interesting. I think if he can cement a starting role, because Emery loves a bit of rotation, then he could be one to look at. 9.5 is a nice price. Firmino, difficult one. I think Liverpool obviously are very attacking, but he doesn't tend to get in the points. But you never know. If you can't afford Salah or Mane, he could be a good option to look at. Vardy, for me, is the pick of the bunch. I think that he represents a great value at 9 million. And we come to look at the stats. So Vardy, for these 4 players, tops it, 174 points and 18 goals. I think he had a good season last year. Like I said, interestingly, 12 assists. He tends to come off the bench quite a lot and would just get an assist or a goal. Like he's good for value. And I think if I was looking at these guys and with the fixtures, I think Vardy should definitely consider because he can score against absolutely anyone. Rashford, if you're not playing well, get him in. I'd avoid Firmino because I just think he plays more of a false 9 and sits back a bit more. And Lacazette, Arsenal again, the same with Aubameyang. The creativity is the thing that worries me in midfield. If they don't bring in anyone, then I think he's one to avoid for the opening of the season. So we now come to the budget assets. These are 4 players I think you should definitely consider for your teams who represent great value, and we're talking 7.5 million or below. First up, Raul Jimenez. I don't need to say anything about him. He was brilliant last season. Start season at 5.5 million. Great value for your teams. He had him from day one. And I think in a Wolves side that is looking good, definitely want to sign. I think the start of the season, difficult, but they did well against the top 6 last year. But the one worry for me is Europa League, and that applies to Jota as well, 6.5 million. Great value, position change as well to forward. But I think it's one to consider, one to wait on. It's how Europa League impacts Wolves. Can they be able to cope with it? I mean, we saw Burnley last season absolutely crumble with Europa League. So I think Jota, just monitor him. Deulofeu, 6.5 million. Had a position change from midfield to forward. So again, like Jota, not the best. But he's one of the most explosive assets at Watford. I think he stepped up in the big games. And I think if he gets some consistency, 6.5 million is a great price for him. Josh King, I've seen on Twitter he's one of the most popular picks for teams. He should be on penalties in a very attacking Bournemouth side. VAR as well might increase the penalty percentage. So 6.5 million, good price for him. But it's just whether he can outperform Wilson. I don't think he can. If you can afford Wilson, I'd say go for him. We look at the stats. So Jimenez, the outright winner, 181 points, 13 goals, 10 assists, unbeatable. I think Jota, though, if he didn't have the injuries he had last season and he was up front with Jimenez, he definitely could have got the same amount of points as him. I mean, he's got 9 goals and 8 assists, so it's not bad for somebody who really only played half the season. Josh King, he stepped up his output towards the end of the season. Worry with him though is the assist. He doesn't tend to get the assist as much as Callum Wilson does, along with Ryan Fraser. And Deulofeu, 10 goals, 5 assists. He's very inconsistent though. I think he had that game against Cardiff where he got 3 goals and an assist, and he was just unbelievable. Then the next week he would blank. So you can't really pick him. I think Watford have got a nice start in their first 4. But after that, it does get quite difficult. And I think that their frailty at the back is going to hinder Deulofeu's chances potentially. Because if, say, they're losing games, he might pull back into a winger role. And Deeney's a lone striker. So, not exactly sure. But I think these guys will represent good options for the budget positions. So we now come to some more out there options for the budget position. I've put Olivier Giroud in here because he intrigues me. I think Chelsea, obviously with Lampard and the transfer ban, have got a limited array of strikers. They've got Giroud, Batshuayi, Abraham as I think the main 3. We think Giroud's experience, he should be the starting striker. And 7 million for a guy that is I'd say a complete striker. He's got he got the goal scoring ability, especially with his head. He can get assists as well. He showed that with Hazard last season. He definitely is one to consider if Chelsea play a nice attacking brand of football. Sarri ball was quite limiting, but Giroud made the most of it, and I think if he gets starts, could be definitely one for your FPL teams. Chris Wood, Burnley this season I think are going to come back to the way they were before. I think no Europa League is going to help them so much. Barnes, Wood, who do you pick? They're both the same price. I think Wood is the more complete striker for me, although I think Barnes has been on penalties. Wood is definitely good from the spot as well, so I think monitor that, but he had a good return last year. I've got 2 promoted strikers in here, Billy Sharp and Teemu Pukki. Pukki 0.5 million more than Sharp, purely because he got more goals last season. I think avoid them for the start because we want to see how the promoted teams do, so give it a good 5 game weeks at least. And they could definitely do something with their goal scoring ability. If we look at the stats from last season, obviously Wood tops the points wise. I can't class the Championship players for the points. And in the Premier League, in terms of comparison with Giroud, he got the most goals, but Giroud got the most assists. Interesting, only with 55 points, so definitely good value for money when he was playing. But we look at the stats from the Championship for Sharp and for Pukki. Sharp 23 goals and 4 assists, and Pukki got 29 goals and 10 assists. So Pukki seems to be the more all-round player, and interestingly, none of his goals in the Championship came from the spot, which means he doesn't have to rely on spot kicks for his points. I think looking at the fixtures for the 2 promoted sides, tricky starts, so that's why I definitely avoid them. Burnley, mix and match, but Wood, I think, if say Burnley are going to sit back against the bigger teams like Arsenal, over the top ball, Wood could get onto that. He did it against Spurs, I think 2 seasons ago when he came in, and he was, put it away, lovely jubbly. And I think Giroud again, Chelsea's fixtures, once the United game's out the way, they've got a nice run of fixtures, don't really meet many of the top 6, but again, I think it's a wait and see with Lampard's style of football. So yeah, to conclude from this video, I think playing 3 up front I think is a bit too much. There's better value in the midfield. I mean, you could maybe say go for 3 budget options, but I think that the main value is in the midfield. So a 3-5-2, a 4-4-2. I wouldn't go with 1 up front, because I think in the case of your striker doesn't play for any reason, and let's say you've got 4.5 million on your bench that don't play, then you're going to be playing with 10 men, and you can't have a formation change because you need to have a striker. So I think definitely have 2 strikers. For me, the pick of the bunch in terms of value and in taking consideration the budget, Vardy and Wilson, I think Vardy has great points potential under Rodgers. I think with the signings of Tielemans and Perez alongside Maddison, his points potential goes through the roof. And the same with Wilson, playing with Fraser, King, Brooks, great attacking potential for an exciting Bournemouth team. So they're my pick of the bunch. Of premium assets, I think it's a wait and see who hits the ground running first. But if you pick Vardy and Wilson, it means that you can upgrade to a premium assets if you have to. Relatively easy, save 2 transfers, roll a transfer, and make the change. So yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're working on the graphics as well to make it a bit more interesting for you viewers. Make sure to check out my Twitter, Captain FPL1. I've been posting lots of threads on there and interesting FPL things that could help you guys in prepping the FPL teams. Check out all the podcasts I've been doing as well with Ollie at FPL Discussion. Have great fun doing them, and check out my other videos as well. Got the new mics. We're sounding good. I hope we're sounding good. And yeah, stay tuned. The new season is nearly upon us, and I can't wait. 9th of August can't come any sooner. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.